Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Look up on the wall. Under the bottle. Behind the door. There's a crack in the mirror. Somewhere there's a hole in the way. I tell you they not to wait. Tell me, do you think not to wait?
Good morning, Monday. Or Tuesday. Here I am.
You stuck in
It's
a time
like,
loop
well,
over there.
because you know what? Yesterday was like not a work day for me. Even though we did the show, I just love being out at that FedEx St. Jude, TPC Southwind. It's really the AutoZone Liberty Bowl thing. I'm getting every sponsor I can in there. I'm just so happy to be out there. It doesn't feel like a work day. Although playing on that wet course later in the day with some really good folks, including our own Greg Gaston here, Joe Birch, and a wonderful gentleman named Jim McMahon, who used to head up ARS here in Memphis, now has a new venture. We had a great time, but man, it was a tough go out there. No roll, cart path only. That was like more work than doing the show. But once again, a great job done by the folks at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, and a whole bunch of money was raised for St. Jude between Joe Theismann's award-winning night on Sunday night at the Hilton for the Distinguished Citizen Award banquet, and then the tournament yesterday. I know a whole bunch is going to the good folks at St. Jude. 100% of the proceeds go. There's no baloney about that. All that money does go to St. Jude. Yesterday, as Ted Butler reminded us, and we'll make our golf picks tomorrow, I may be in the lead. Zaxter, I looked at this. I checked it out. You realize all my guys finished in the money?
Yes.
Johnny had Taylor Pendrith, Siwoo Kim, and Eric Van Rooyen. Van Rooyen might have actually gotten some money. But all three of my guys made money. I may be the leader when we make picks tomorrow. You had Rory, you made money there. Nick Taylor, I don't think, had a day.
Nope.
Berger didn't have much.
Nope.
Thigala was Mickey's pick. He's definitely did nothing. Shane Lowry, Adam Hadwin, the Canadian, didn't do much in that either. So I think I have the chance of being number one in the standings here when we pick tomorrow.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm really excited about. You realize Ted Butler told us yesterday was the longest day of golf. That is when they do U.S. Open qualifying for those that have not already made it in with wins on the PGA Tour or OWGR standings. And so they play all these sectionals. I want to say it's like 12 different parts of the country. And the Golf Channel did a great job of going all over the place, letting everybody know on Golf Central last night who had made it, who did not. Like Adam Scott did not make it. Do you realize that Adam Scott had one of the longest consecutive major appearances? This will be the first time he's not in a major in 91 straight tournaments. 91 straight, either Masters or U.S. Opens or PGAs or British Opens.
No, I didn't realize.
I didn't either until I read
Didn't
it
realize
today.
it was a part of that meeting.
91 straight gone. But you know who made it? I am so happy for this family because I watched this kid when he was literally 10 years old. A very proud grandfather, a blessed memory is he, George Bryant, who built and owned Old Waverly and then Mossy Oak, another one of his dreams that came to realization. He loved his grandson, Wills Williams, who was, still is, the son of his daughter. And I can remember they had a great little youth team at Old Waverly. They all come out and they were all wearing matching shirts, and they were out on the putting green, and George was showing us, and then we went to the driving range and saw the swings that were just magnificent. And so Williams is now a sophomore at Vanderbilt, and his dream of playing collegiate golf and in the SEC, which is pretty good golf, came true. So yesterday he goes and has to play 36 holes at Pinehurst. So that the big field at Pinehurst, a lot of competition there. I'm assuming, and if Brett Norsworthy is listening, because he's the guy that filled me in today, he would tell me, but I'm assuming it was Pinehurst number 2. At least one of the 18 had to be at Pinehurst number 2, and he was able to make it. I've got to believe, not necessarily for the pros that are top 75 guys who have won a tournament, they're already in, or they're a past major winner, so they've got years and get into automatically qualifying for the U.S. Open. But if you're an amateur, and many amateurs did, like Williams, but if you're even a young guy on the tour trying to get into like maybe his first major, or you are a guy who has been a pro, is on the tour, but has to qualify for this, it has to be one of the most grueling events because you're up against pro guys on the tour, you're playing against really good competition, and you've got to walk 36 holes. It's the accumulation of 36 holes. All pressure packed. You've got to be, most of these scores were 8 or 9 under par to qualify. I mean, you've got to be great for 36 holes. And the common theme on Golf Central when they were talking about all of this was how fatigued mentally and physically every person that competed was. And that's just to get in to try to make a U.S. Open where, if you're 2 or 3 under, you have a chance to win. It's going to be incredibly difficult. So I'm just thrilled that Williams was able to make it. That is just absolutely terrific. Yeah, you learn something every day. And I talked with Ryan Silverfield yesterday, and I was talking about maybe some of the new guys that might be coming in. One was a defensive end yesterday from North Texas, and he was pretty nonchalant about the whole thing. And he goes, Wolo, we are deep. This guy will be a rotation guy if he plays at all. That's how good they are. This guy was going to be a starter at North Texas, and North Texas is considered to be one of the better teams in the league. I was looking today because I heard Greg and Eli talking about this, and I wanted to check. The Athletic just put out their very first top 25 poll, or the first one that I've seen. And Memphis was not in the top 30. So they did 25, and they said 5 that just missed it. Memphis was not there. So I don't know if they're going to get into the AP or the coaches poll to begin with. They clearly, by almost everybody's account, are the favorites, though, to be the group of 5 representative in the college football playoff, the 12-team playoff. And I just learned this today, and we're going to be talking a little bit about kick times and NCAA football packages, the SEC package that's new, and everything else. But I just noticed that TNT has now become a part of the college football playoff. They are going to do first-round games and maybe a couple of quarterfinal games. It's either a 3-year or a 5-year deal, and I'll look it up again before we talk with Joe. Or if Joe's listening, he'll look it up. But TNT is going to be a player now, and they're still negotiating for the NBA package, which is going up and up and up. But TNT's sports is going to be involved in the college football playoff, which is great because TNT, to me, does a terrific, terrific job. But what I didn't know, and was listening to the guys this morning, And they're picked that way because of the way Memphis finished last year, beating a good Iowa State team with a good defense, putting up points, winning that game, really dominating that game. And it's because of Seth Hennigan and the numbers that Seth Hennigan put up in the last 7 games that Eli was spouting was fantastic. But here's the thing that I did not realize. I knew how good Seth was the last 7 games of the year. What I didn't realize was if Seth Hennigan has an average year next year, 25 touchdowns, he will become the number 25 all-time greatest quarterback statistically in the history of college football, passing Marcus Mariota. Is that not incredible? Zach, did you realize that he was approaching that kind of territory? Keeping in mind, not many 4-year starters have come and gone anywhere in college football, let alone the U of M. But I mean to tell you, that's an amazing story.
Yeah, like how many athletes going to stay in one place for 4 years these days, man?
No, I know. And the amazing thing is he wasn't bought away by a Power 5 school.
Even though he did say
he
that
got offers.
he had offers.
Oh, yeah.
People were calling him.
Well, he can make history here. He can become the greatest quarterback in the history of the school, statistically. Steve Matthews only played a couple of years. He was unbelievable. He never gets his due. But the run that Memphis has had, starting with Paxton Lynch, and Greg Gaston brought this up, and it was a very, very on-point thing to appreciate, is you've had Paxton Lynch, Riley Ferguson, Brady White, Seth Hennigan. I ask, how many programs, SEC programs, how many programs can boast those 4 quarterbacks in a row? You had a Martin Hankins thrown in there for a little bit. That was really good. Of course, Danny Wimprine was terrific. And Steve Matthews, to this day, I loved Wimprine. Steve Matthews, just for sheer potential. It's so sad on a quarterback sneak that I think his pro career got derailed because he had that compound fracture that was really ugly on a QB sneak. Like, it's hard to believe. But he was amazing. Now, he had some weapons around him. He had the trio, and I still think it's the best receiving class that Memphis has had, probably will ever have had. And that means Isaac Bruce, one of the greatest who ever played the NFL position at wide receiver, Russell Copeland, who was really, really good, and Matt Cody, who I think had a cup of coffee in the NFL but played really well in the Canadian Football League. I mean, that's some pretty darn good talent right there around Steve Matthews. But you think about that run of quarterbacks, and all you can do is go, wow, that is amazing. And the whole culture, everything changed, and he doesn't get enough credit. But Justin Fuente did that. Penny Hardaway was out there yesterday. I have to brag on Penny here. He was not very talkative to the press. He did talk with me a little bit. I saw him aside and watched him play golf a little bit. I watched him hit. I'm not making this stuff up. I watched him on 15 hit a 330-yard drive. If you don't know 15, it is right after the difficult par 4 14 over the water. Then 16 is the par 5 that most people have a chance to eagle. It's always one of the easier holes, but it's a cool hole. 15 is that one that is really pretty. Tree-lined, you got water in front of the green. Most players hit an iron. Penny went with a driver. Now he's playing from the player's tee. He's not playing from back where he should be. Because I asked him how far he can carry a drive. And he told me, Wolo, I can carry 300. Yesterday, he carried 290, hit a cart path, and the ball ended up on the green. The team, and by the way, it had a great player named Chris Moore, who lives on the course. They did not eagle, but they had a tap-in birdie. But he drove the green. On top of that, they have a straight line, the best straight drive. Penny, I don't know how far he hit it, but it was a good distance. His drive ended up exactly on the line. Exactly on the line. Never seen anything like that. Usually 6 inches, 8 inches, a foot and a half. That's what you'll see in these straight line drive contests. On the line. Incredible. By the way, he did tell me one more player at least he expects to sign. He's got 3 spots. You know he likes to save one. That's how you ended up with Naquan Tomlin last year. But he's going to sign at least one more. That you can put in the bank. Also, John Fanta, I like him. I think he is a good analyst on ESPN, and he did a lot of Memphis's games. He's pretty brutally honest about a lot of things. I can remember he was talking about a particular player the Tigers had that was supposed to be a good shooter, and he goes, I would change that guy's shot immediately. I could make that guy a good shooter. So he's very confident in himself, but I think he's excellent. He ranks the portal classes. Even without the new signing or 2 that Penny may make, Memphis is the number 10 portal class in the Fanta rankings. So lots of good things to look forward to in that one. But, man, I got to tell you, Penny Hardaway's ability to hit the golf ball is almost as good as his ability to recruit players. If you're looking for have any access to Penny and you're looking for a scramble partner, he's your guy. That is for sure. Now, we haven't paid much attention to the French Open at all, but the next star in American sports, I think, female star, other than Caitlin Clark and all the rigmarole. I was listening last night to The Odd Couple and all the racist slant and everything that's being put upon the Caitlin and Kennedy Carter stuff and everything else that's going with the jealousy of the WNBA. Caitlin Clark at this point is probably the most talked about woman athlete in America. I don't think there's any question about that. But I'll tell you who will be if she wins the French Open. And if she continues to play, this is, by the way, her 3rd consecutive semifinals in a major. And we've been watching her since she was 15 years old. She's going to be the next major star besides Caitlin Clark, and that is Coco Gauff. She, unfortunately, though, has to meet the defending champion, Swiatek, in the semis. Maybe this is where she turns the corner. I sure hope so, but Swiatek's had her number. They've met 11 times, and Coco has been defeated 10 of the 11.
Well, those 11 times, she didn't face a Coco Gauff current reigning U.S. Open champion.
Well, that's true. She got her first major last year. It would be her second. It would be a different surface. I would have to say at this moment, if we were making odds, that Swiatek would be the big favorite in this thing. But we're all pulling for Coco. That's for sure. American tennis needs somebody. We haven't had anybody since Venus and Serena. And so I'm pulling for Coco Gauff. Still 2 days away. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. Boston and Dallas. There's so many different storylines that you love in this. But the 2 easy ones for me, Porzingis, who, by the way, has, I'm pretty sure, been scrimmaging, is ready to go. How game fit he'll be, we'll have to wait and see. But Porzingis going against his old team, and let's not forget, this will be the third time, but still very animous. Kyrie Irving having to go to Boston where he was once a Celtic, and they hate him there. They boo him relentlessly. Remember, he gave the bird to them a couple of years ago, and he got fined, I think, $50,000 for it.
Mm-hmm. And then
He says he's a more mature guy now.
Yeah, and then I will never forget when he walked into TD Garden and he started to sage the arena.
He started what?
Sage, you know sage, like the scent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he had his sage. He had it burning.
Oh,
with his
really?
bowl, and he
To
was just kinda-
cleanse?
Yeah.
TD Garden? I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
Well,
I
he's
remember that.
wacko anyway.
I think that was
he's
the
guy
first
that's-
time he was back in Boston.
Didn't he deny that the world was round? He was one of those crazy guys, deniers. He's a little wacky.
Yeah.
He's a great basketball player, but he's a little wacky, let's be honest. 2 days away. Still cannot wait for all the storylines that will come with that. And then finally, I don't understand how. I know it's prevalent gambling now everywhere you go. It's everywhere. But I mean, if you're a professional athlete, are you out of your mind? Takapia Marcano, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Takapia. Infielder for the San Diego Padres, was a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates. And as a member of the Pittsburgh Pirates last year, he was injured. He had an ACL blowout, so he was not able to play. But still part of the team, knew all the inside information, bet on Pirates games. I would bet he will be permanently banned. And I think you have to be. If you're an athlete, now I know it's everywhere, and I know we got a problem when a television broadcast is using halftime to adjust lines and get you to bet. That's part of the advertising, but part of the team's program, for goodness sake. I know that. But if you're an athlete, you're in a different category. And you do have inside info. You know what's going on. It is illegal. It's in every locker room. It's in Major League locker rooms. It's in the NBA locker rooms where Porter has now been banned, and this guy, Marcano, is going to be banned. He definitely appears to have bet on baseball games with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He bet on their games while he was a member of the team, though not active. So he's done. He's got to be done because he had all the inside info. Crazy. I don't know when athletes will learn. I guess they figure it won't happen to me, but it does. It absolutely does. We're sitting in the Family Leisure studio. Summer's here. It's time to party, and that's what this particular sale, the summer party sale, is all about. 24-foot above-ground pools under $2,000. All ladders, filter systems, and I just got a robotic cleaner. I'm trying that. 20% off. It's a good deal. They got select in-stock patio furnitures up to 50% off. You don't hear that very often. 50% off. Please get to I-40 and Whidden Road. Go see Billy. Go see all the good folks at Family Leisure. We got to take a break. When we come back, the business of sports. Our friend Joe Dank is standing by. The former general manager of 24 and 30 is right around the corner.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does your favorite mixers. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent out to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff, just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, mainly 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? Well, Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has helped over 35,000 families out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares, and they may be able to help you too. If you were misled into signing a timeshare agreement that is a lifetime commitment, if you were told timeshare is a great investment or your maintenance fees will never go up, you need to get the facts about timeshare cancellation. For over 10 years, Wesley Financial Group has been dedicated to helping folks get out of a lifetime of debt by canceling their timeshares. So they created a timeshare exit information kit, which reveals how the timeshare industry works and what your options are for cancellation. Simply call Wesley right now and they will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free. See how you can become timeshare free. Call 800-761-0000. That's 800-761-0000. Again, 800-761-0000.
Summer's heating up, and so are the savings at Choate's. We've got 3 incredible offers to make your season spectacular. First up, our Grill and Chill with Choate's Summer Special. Upgrade your HVAC system and choose between a free Yeti cooler or a Green Egg grill on select systems. Then power through any outage with Choate's generators. Be one of the first 50 customers to buy a generator and score a massive 75-inch TV or an iPad. Also, don't forget about our tankless water heater offer. Purchase a tankless water heater from Choate's and receive a premium toilet free. Don't wait. These offers are too good to last. Turn to the experts with Choate's and call 347-8086 or visit us online today for your free estimate. Now introducing Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. Choate's, let our family serve your family.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Let's talk a little business of sports and television and the combination of the two. We bring in our expert, former general manager of Channel 24 and 30 and longtime sports producer. That would be Joe Denk. He joins us in this slot every Tuesday, and we are so appreciative of that. UFL Season 1, regular season in the books. It's over. Will there be a season 2? I think they've sold enough TV ads to bring in enough revenue to want to do it again. I know other than St. Louis, attendance has been not just mediocre, it's been bad. What's the future, Joe Denk of the UFL? Good morning.
Good morning, David. Good to be with you. Look, the future, I think, rests clearly in the hands of the television executives at ABC, ESPN, and Fox. This is a TV show, after all. We've talked about this before, and it really is nothing more than a TV show. Now, interestingly, the TV ratings through Week 9, so it's a comparison year to year. They're averaging between 800,000 and 900,000 per telecast. And frankly, that's plus 31% versus 9-week totals of last year out of each of the leagues. Because remember, they combined 2 of the leagues, the XFL and the USFL, to create the UFL this year. But in a time where television ratings were flat is the new up, plus 31% is something that TV executives will look at favorably. As you said, however, the attendance, has been maybe kindly described as dreadful, with the exclusion of St. Louis. So 5 of the XFL teams were included in this 8-team UFL, and all 5 teams saw an attendance decline, and that includes St. Louis, even though St. Louis did extraordinarily well, averaging just over 34,000 fans per game. But something like that is offset by Houston that saw a 40% year-to-year decline in attendance. The 3 teams from the USFL, and that's where the Showboats come in, Memphis and Michigan and Birmingham came over. They all struggled in attendance and just averaging combined over 8,000. Memphis, and this kind of hurts for us. I mean, Memphis was absolutely last in the league, averaged just over 6,000 fans a game, and on Sunday night, the last home game of the season, it was 6,039.
Well, that's
announced.
not even fair.
So,
That was 1,000 people in the place. Everybody who went to the game that I've asked says maybe 1,000 people were there.
right.
So it's a television show, right? I mean, that's really what it is. And when you tell me they're up 31%, when most of television programming is flat, that would say, why not, if you're those entities, ESPN and Fox, why not keep it? Let me ask you, national number, one of them's over the air net. Well, 2 of them are over the air networks. Is 900,000 average for those time slots, weekend slots? Are those good? I know they're up 31%, but are they good?
Well, versus a long time ago, they're terrible. In the present environment, what else are you going to put on to find 1 million fans? And so that becomes the Mendoza line on any of this second, third, fourth tier type sports programming that is out there. It used to be called trash sports. Remember the old days of
Right.
CBS Sports Spectacular, the Superstars competition, all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So this is what we've replaced that with. Instead of celebrities, rowing kayaks in a river, we have this level of football, and it's getting about 1 million viewers. And if they can sell the ads, and if they can do it, they'll continue to do it. Point is, they have to put something on in those time periods, right? Once the big
Absolutely.
seasons are over. So what are you going to put on? This always brings to mind, however, something you and I tend to talk about sometimes, and that is, do we need a break from football if we're football fans, right?
Well, I've contended that I wasn't sure any spring league, football league could make it now because we have such penetration during the football season, so many games, and they obviously do well. There's no question the game of football is America's favorite sport to watch. There's no doubt about it. It was made for TV. TV does it well. We've got our teams. We have passion about it. Now we are indoctrinated with gambling to even bring more people into the fold. It's fantastic. My contention, however, is everything needs a breath. Everything needs a rest. And you're not getting that. You're going right from the Super Bowl into this league. But if they keep getting the TV revenue, that's I think, at this moment, all that really matters. Now, I don't think they'll ever have great home team attendance until they place those teams in their markets. That's probably why St. Louis went down this year. St. Louis was like every other team. They were housed in Arlington, Texas. They weren't in St. Louis. The year before, those XFL teams were in their home markets. Memphis had a home team the year before because this was a hub city with Houston, and I think they probably had better – I know they had better attendance last year than they did this year. And so my guess is that until they put the teams in the home markets where you practice, you do stories there. Guys go out and they go to church clubs and synagogue clubs and Lions clubs and become a part of the fabric of the city. You have no chance to have a real feel, a passion for that team. You're not going to get home attendance. Now, in this year's case, and I feel for Steve Macy, who, by the way, I had a long chat with yesterday, is insisting they've got one more year left on their contract at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. They've just hired new people to work for them, that they're coming back, and I'm going to take him at his word with that. But I don't think you're going to get attendance unless the team moves to Memphis, is housed in Memphis, and now he's got a year to sell tickets.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and I think at the very least they fulfill that initial 3-year term. I do, however, believe that they have probably hit on a model that is very efficient, and by that I mean having the teams in a single location with a single type of training staff, single training facilities, everything else. I would just suggest, I think it more likely that they end up not only keeping all of the teams in one location, they might play all of the games in one location and simply fill these TV windows. And I think it more likely that that happens than that they ever revert back to putting each of these individual teams into individual cities. So I just, I that is just an interesting thing. Remember the TV show The Gladiators?
Yeah.
And these guys came on, and it was a successful syndicated hit for a number of years. It was a bunch of guys competing in the same studio on a weekly basis. I mean, if they could achieve a TV studio that accommodates a football field, has enough seats to put enough people in it, you could play all the games there. I'll tell you the facility where it exists. It's at the Star. It's at the Cowboys facility. It's a beautiful 10,000, 12,000 seat football field. It's where the Cowboys train and they hold high school games. You could put this whole thing in there. It's wired for TV, and they would play all the time, and it would be easy, and you would fill those broadcast windows right on the weekend.
CUSA, by the way, has their basketball postseason tournament there in the Star.
Exactly. There you go. Yep.
What is it, American Ninja Warrior? That sort of does that, where they bring athletes into one place, and that's
another one. You're right.
That's a primetime NBC broadcast.
Exactly. That's something that kind of was an offshoot of that old Gladiators kind of thing. And so again, whenever you're producing content, if you can produce it as efficiently as possible, that's what game shows will be on forever, right? It's the least expensive thing you can produce, and you can make 3 or 4 a day, and in a week or 2 weeks' time, you can make a month's worth of shows. That's how it's always been done, and it's just very efficient. And then you fill time periods for the rest, for the whole week.
Well, I'm curious, if they did that, would they just use the names and not the cities? They go, okay, so here's the Showboats against the Roughnecks, not use the cities' names if they're all going to be in the same place. I could see that going that way. The other way I could see it evolve is that they try to find owners of teams. My firm belief is they came to Memphis, particularly this year with the UFL, in the hopes of luring someone, and in particular, Fred Smith, to buy the team. I think they want local ownership. If they could get that, they would keep each city, and then the city would have its team.
I think you're right, but I don't think that cause was advanced this year with the in-stadium attendance. I mean, if someone comes to you with that pitch, how excited are you to, A, take the pitch, and B, how excited might you be in terms of being inclined to accept it? Because it is, at its kindest terms, a heavy lift to draw the number of people necessary to support having that team based here at this point.
All right, it came out a couple of weeks ago. TNT is now going to be involved in the college football playoff. We've got the kickoff times for 7 of Memphis's games, the SEC package, which, by the way, for those of you who don't know, moved to ABC. They've got games in the 11 to 11:30 slot. They've got them at 2:30 or 3. They've got them at 6 or 7. I mean, they've got them all over the place. The SEC, every game is going to be a major game. But let me start with the new TNT deal, because I didn't really realize it. It came out May the 22nd that they've added college football to their deal. So it's going to be TNT with Warner Brothers Discovery as the main title. Also HBO Max. They're going to show 2 first-round games over the first 2 seasons of the deal. In the next 3 years, it'll broadcast and stream 2 first-round games and 2 quarterfinal games. And then ESPN's got everything else. I think there's an option after that the Time Warner TNT HBO deal that they could add more games after those initial 5 years. Your sense of all that?
Well, look, I mean, ESPN paid $7.8 billion to get those playoff games, okay? And then I think they started looking around and say, can we make more by just selling a few of these games off to somebody else and let them pay for it? Now, the production is going to be an ESPN production. It's going to be ESPN talent on those broadcasts, which is interesting. The other thing is, and we touched on this, that the first Saturday of those first-round games, there is now doubleheader NFL competition against it, right?
Ooh, yeah, I know.
And so wasn't it interesting that not long after that NFL schedule came out, ESPN decided to spin off some of those games to TNT. So I think they saw a difficult competitive environment for those games and said, let's see if we can look for some efficiencies there, cut some losses, and get some cash from another partner. The other interesting thing, and a lot of people have speculated, and Warner, the folks at Discover have denied it, but it looks like they're out of the NBA business, and so this gave them something to talk about from a TNT sports perspective, that they're still acquiring product. But as we all know, they have been defined by their NBA, and that deal is again supposed to be announced within the next 2 to 3 weeks. They wanted to do it in advance of the finals and have not, meaning the NBA deal. So that, 2 things may have really created this opportunity. ESPN saw some very difficult competitive environment with the NFL playing against those first-round playoff games and looked for help and got it. And those guys are looking for additional product if they're going to lose the NBA. So there's always some type of motivator for what's going on, and that may be it in that particular case.
Great added perspective to all of that. All right, now, Memphis's times are out. They got pretty good times, pretty good exposure. Not necessarily on ABC, because ABC is tied up with 2:33, 6 or 7. And 11, 11:15, or 11:30, maybe even some 11:45 games on the ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, or SEC network. Every game covered by the major networks here. I don't think they're getting any games on ESPN Plus, whereas I think Memphis will have 1 or 2. But Memphis getting pretty good national coverage this year.
Well, Memphis got some real good games, but as you said, there is no ABC game. And it was interesting. I also looked at the American Conference, and they announced a whole bunch of TV times last week, especially for the first weeks of the non-con portion of the schedule. And you and I will recall very specifically the number of times that Memphis, in that heyday of the Norvell years, playing on ABC. That was very important to me at the time. You participated in our pregame shows. Memphis was on ABC a lot, and that was really good. The American Conference was on a lot, and that was really good. And it is right now there is not a single ABC telecast scheduled for an American Conference team, with the lone exception being the conference title game. It moves to a Friday night this year in prime time. It'll be on ABC at 7 o'clock. But Memphis, of the 7 games they announced, 3 on ESPN, 1 on ESPN2. Probably the highlight of the season. I'm sure everybody's dying for this game and can't wait to see it. Memphis at Florida State. That's September 14th. That'll be in a morning game, 11 a.m. on ESPN. The other interesting thing is Memphis finds itself in a pretty nice spot on Thursday night, Thanksgiving night. That's November 28th. They'll be at Tulane. That's an ESPN game at 6:30. The Cowboys and the Giants will just be ending on CBS that day, and then the Packers and the Dolphins will be beginning on NBC that night. So the NFL has been huge on Thanksgiving Day, but there's a nice window, and it's going to be probably the only college football game being televised at that time.
I think it is. I think it's
So-
the only college game. Yeah.
Yep. So a great opportunity, and who knows? By that point, that could be very meaningful. You could be playing for a spot in the upcoming AAC championship game. That's November 28th on Thanksgiving night. So that's a big one.
Oh yeah. Let's just say Memphis were to win, upset somehow, some way in Tallahassee, third week of the year over Florida State. There's flexibility later on for the Disney company to make changes and to put some of those games on ABC. Is there not?
Well, there always has been, and that's why this morning I did look at the conference site to see if there were any announced ABC games anywhere on the schedule. Because in the past, sometimes they designated a game, but they could flex off of it, if you will, when the game became more meaningful. But I just don't see any ABC windows. And I think when you were describing what happens now with all of the SEC going to Disney exclusively, I think that may have pushed the American off of ABC. So that's just interesting. But, hey, the next best place to be is on ESPN in a good window, and they're in that good window on Thanksgiving Day. They've got 2 Friday games, as you know. South Florida is an ESPN game on October 11th, and Rice is an ESPN2 game. That's a game here on November 8th with an 8 p.m. kickoff. So that's a little bit of an interesting thing to start so late here at 8 o'clock, but be an interesting opportunity. Rice is the opponent. It could be a pretty, anything in November, we all hope, are going to be big-time meaningful games as the Tigers pursue that berth in the conference championship game.
Well, you know what? It'll build. Week after, they're going to have to win every game in order to get to after. Maybe they could lose 2 games. Maybe they could lose Florida State in one other conference game. But other than that, they got to win everything plus the championship game in order to have their spot. So every week will be major. Every week, Memphians certainly will be watching and I hope listening as well. Joe Dank, as always, terrific stuff. We appreciate it. We'll talk NBA, maybe some history of their television network productions and ratings and everything else. That we'll tackle next Tuesday. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, David.
That's our guy. That is Joe Dank on the business of sport. He's brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken knows the building business, unlike many, kind of like the way Joe knows sports and television ratings. They're terrific. Well, this is third generation now. William Garland is now a big part of it. Ken Jr. still there. Of course, it all began over 80 years ago with Ken Sr. If you're thinking about building a home, maybe a renovation you want done right, I call that renovation with innovation, bringing in all the new modern amenities. Whatever your plans may be, it's simple. You contact the Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. I know it's a big decision, a big financial commitment, which is why Ken and his son now, they will give you what you should expect. On time, quality, on budget. That's what they do. All 3 of those things have to be done. Oh, let me add one more. The job is never done. If you've been in a project with Ken and his son and it's 6 months later and something's not right, they're back there. The job is never done. He's working with your architects. You always get what you expect. They really are the best. Their number is 751-1632. Go to kengarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. We go to Baton Rouge. Our friend Ron Higgins is right around the corner.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
You know, sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Winton Road.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Hi, it's the Herd. You're probably careful with your personal information, but what about other places that have it, like the doctor's office that mixed up your files? They have your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport info. Your information's in endless places outside of your control. Any one of them could accidentally expose you to hackers and identity theft protection through lax security, breaches, simple mistakes. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second, alerts you to a wide range of threats. If your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist fixes it, guaranteed or money back, with plans covering up to $3 million for stolen funds and expenses. Mistakes happen. Don't let not having protection be one of them. Save up to 40% your first year at LifeLock.com with a promo code HERD. Promo code HERD at LifeLock.com to save up to 40%. Terms apply.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at TriumphAutoSales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales. Back to Wolo and friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshyn.
Program alert, our SEC historian Ron Higgins, a week from Thursday, moves to the 10:25 slot Russell Copeland used to occupy. We got an announcement coming your way on what we'll be doing in this time slot coming later in the week, we hope. In the meantime, it's nice to talk to Ron one last Tuesday. He's been very kind about moving around the days for us. Let's start with Destin. The SEC meetings there, like they always do this time of year. What did you learn particularly about conference football games? 8, 9, staying the same, going to 9. What are they going to do? Good morning, Ron.
Good morning. And, I've moved more times than the guy in Willis location. So, Willis location. So, it's okay. I'm just glad to be here. But I think they're just sometimes the SEC just moves at a snail's pace on stuff. With the 8-9 deal, I mean, I don't know if they don't want to play 9 or they're waiting to see what kind of money TV comes up. How much? I think they're going to go to 9 for this reason. They have to. They need the money now because of NIL, and you got to pay players. And I think they have to tap into every resource they can get. And if playing an extra game gets you, most schools a lot of times will clear $5 or $6 million at a home game for a home game. I think they're going to have to go to 9. Just because of the money. But I also want to see them go 9 because I think it gives you a better inventory for TV and a better inventory for your fans.
I agree. And I just, what the slogan is, it just means more, right? Well, that's a league. That means that your league is playing more games, and it's more competition within your group, which means more storylines, more traditions, more rivalries, and that's what it's supposed to be about. When you're adding teams and not adding games, sometimes what it used to be, the old East-West concoction, the way it was you might not play a team for 12 years in football, right? I mean, there's some kind of crazy thing. This way, you would play each other. Teams that you might never play, you would play more often, and that just makes more sense to me.
Well, they should redo their slogan too. It just means more money.
Yeah, there you go.
That just comes in. mean, they're discussing if it's the NCAA will pass a rule to put logos on your football field, on your stadium turf, which isn't I don't see anything wrong with that. It's not a bad idea. I mean, it's already on, NBA uniforms. We never thought we'd see that happen, but it happened because it did happen in Europe, and so the NBA picked up on it. I think that at this point you got to tap into every revenue source you can. And a ninth conference game makes sense. Again, not only financially, but it gives the season ticket holders, another great game to watch. Another conference game that means something.
I'm all for that. I hope it goes to 9. I really do. And if that means you're not going to play one of those bye games, which that's unfortunate. Say it was and I don't know if it would be, but say it was a SWAC school. I hate it that they lose their revenue, but I just think in terms of competition and games and making a league whole, it makes more sense to me to go, especially when you have all these great teams, to play 9. Speaking of leagues and more teams, what are you hearing in terms of conference expansion? We know Florida State and Clemson want out of the ACC. I don't know where North Carolina, Virginia, Duke, NC State for that matter, because NC and NC State, I think, are kind of tied through the legislature. They have to be with one another. I kind of think that's the sense of it all. But, Greg Sankey didn't talk much about expansion, but he didn't say it wouldn't happen. Sometimes what you don't say means more than what you do say. Give me your sense of what's going on there.
It used to be with expansion that you wouldn't consider teams in states you already had teams. Like, there's always a deal like, well, we can't have Florida State because we have Florida. We can't have Clemson because we have South Carolina. That's kind of all out the window now. I think that's pretty much out the window. And I think if it made financial sense for the SEC, and they felt like it could make them more money TV-wise, I could see them adding Florida State and Clemson at some point. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, that goes back to what we just talked about. I mean, Florida State, and Clemson, South Carolina, rivalry games.
Yeah, and it makes sense. In the past, I mean, there's always that bull crap excuse is always given out by SEC ADs or whatever that we really we can't consider Memphis because that's in the Ole Miss market, TV market, and I mean we don't want to do anything to harm Ole Miss. Well, all that stuff's out the window now. I really believe now that everybody's got to come up with money to pay athletes. You got to get all the money you can from whatever source you can, and I do think that maybe some avenues of where you didn't think you would expand to certain areas because you thought you would hurt the team already in that area. I think that's gone now. I really do.
Yeah. Last thing, real quick, because we're out of time. LSU, a heck of a comeback story. I watched them lose in the 10th inning to North Carolina. Otherwise, they would have made the Super Regional. But when we talked about LSU baseball a month ago, they were at the bottom of the SEC. To have advanced as far as they did, that's a heck of a story.
They got their coach, Jay Johnson, his third year. He won the national title last year. Lost 7 of 9 starters. Lost his entire...
Uh-oh. I think we just lost Ron.
It took them a while to get it going, and they finally got their confidence. Their things finally fell into place. They got all they could out of that team. They couldn't get across that finish line last night to get to the Super Regional, which they would have hosted. But the feeling in Baton Rouge is they were grateful that team really came together and got as far as they did.
One thing for sure, they never quit. Ron, thank you much. We'll talk to you a week from Thursday. We appreciate you so much.
All right, Wolo, take care. See
you. Got it. That is our guy. That is Ron Higgins on the SEC. He's brought to you by Memphis Golf. There's a guy who used to play a whole bunch of Memphis golf. He loves golf. Loves throwing clubs when he plays golf. He was telling me the story. He threw a club up in the air. He didn't mean to throw where it was. It got stuck in a tree. Only Ron. And there's plenty of trees and plenty of great golf courses in Memphis. If you want to make a tee time, it's easy. You go to memphispubliclinks.com. They'll direct you to any of the public golf courses. Can't wait. We know the opening date. We'll talk to Mickey Barker tomorrow for Audubon is going to be August the 1st. I can tell you Saturday the 15th is the child-parent tournament at Overton Park on the OP9. It's a scramble. Can't wait to play. I think we're going up against the Butlers, Ted and his son Joseph. It's so much fun. There's so much competition, so many great golf courses. You know that. If you played Galloway or Fox Meadows in great shape too, you understand. And Pine Hill. Oh, my gosh, Pine Hill is so competitive now. If you haven't played it since it reopened and the clubhouse is now open, you're missing something. You can call, but the best way to do it is get your tee time on memphispubliclinks.com. That'll do it for us. Johnny Radio getting set to come on in here. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.